Scotty is ready to dissect the round of fixtures. Round 4, it started all the way back on Thursday. We touched on the Friday game. But before we get into Scotty, a round of applause thanks to Nutrimate. Get some Nutrimate into your furry, mate. My player of the weekend, Caleb Sarong. What about that? He leads the league in clearances. He's the number one clearance player in the competition. He had 9 score involvements. He had 24 contested possessions. He had 7 tackles. He was the man who changed the game in that spurring sort of 10 minutes along with Andy Brayshaw. If you don't give him credit for what he does and you are critical of Caleb Sarong, then you only have to watch yesterday's game, because I am telling you, for Nutrimate, he was the star of yesterday's game. For a shiny coat and healthy teeth and gums, get some Nutrimate into your furry, mate. Speaking of furry mates, the man who grows hair on his back for fun, Scotty Goss.
Yuck. Do not.
Are you excited about stepping into the big shoes of Adam Simpson?
Not one bit.
An analysis?
No, not one bit, because he's just proven to be an outstanding analytical talent in the media. So, no, I'm not excited whatsoever.
Okay, before you do that,
I mean,
is
that the bad message? Absolutely I am.
He's been so impressive. What about this discussion this morning with Kane Corns and David King about the future of Adam Simpson?
Adam Simpson's sort of waiting there. There was a clip going viral on social media about him saying that he's a North Melbourne person. How long before that call is made?
To Simo?
To Adam Simpson, I'm just asking, as a North.
Well, he's at the Masters at the moment. No.
You don't think that call will be made?
I don't think so, no.
This conversation is going to go on and on and on. And you know why? It's because he's sitting in that chair, and the work he does with Fox and with Jared is
so good,
of such high standard, that I think people now go, okay, he's got a great coaching mind. Maybe.
And, when he's asked about his future, he's never ruled out going back to coaching, has he?
I think he's pretty comfortable with what he's doing.
I would be too.
I think he's very comfortable with what he's doing now.
He's very good at it. So
flying business class to the Masters you'd be very happy with yourself. All righty, just quickly, 17 points, Magpies. This is my first chat with you in regards to this, of course. On Friday, it was Hayes in the chair. What did you make of the Magpies win?
Let's concentrate on this game, because
it's a week ago. Hurry up.
All right. 4th time in a row that Carlton's led at half time and lost a game. It's a troubling one, but and they get smacked in the clearances. We talk about Paddy Cripps, but he's a man on his own at the moment, and 47 to 38 in clearances. And I know the weather played a bit of a part in it. They had 73 turnovers, Carlton, and just gave the ball back to good ball users, and you can't do that. But at the moment too, their forward line, I know Charlie Curno's first game back and that, but their forward line's ineffective, and they're missing Harry Mackay more than they
played in the VFL.
Are.
Kicked a couple of goals,
which is
7 marks.
Strange for me.
Also, well, he's been dealing with some personal issues.
Oh, absolutely, and I don't know what they are, and I hope he's okay. And
he's fine.
And and as we know, again, we've been reminded again with the events of last week that it is just footy. Life's much more important. But I often found it hard when the times that I got dropped. It's different to Harry. Sometimes it's harder to get up mentally for a twos game than it is a senior game. You have to work so much harder to get up to play in the Waffle or to play SNFL or to play VFL. It's a lot harder. So maybe it's just a way for him to go and just play some footy and get around the boys again, and without the spotlight on him. But geez, they need him.
Carlton lucky they're playing West Coast this week?
Yes, on form. You'd say yes on form. They are lucky, but it's also, as we spoke earlier, it's almost unlucky, because if it goes wrong, it is going to be diabolic for them, because they'll implode at Carlton. Is that a word?
Which one, implode?
Implode. Well, it will. It absolutely will. It will implode at Princess Park. There's no doubt about that. So, lucky. I still think they beat West Coast, and I think they get their first win. But
do they?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do, Tim.
12-13-85, Geelong defeated Melbourne 6-10-46, 39 points the margin. I thought Reece Stanley did a really good job on Max Gawn. I thought Max Gawn was still okay, but he's...
Still one of their best.
Yeah, but I thought Reece Stanley did a really good job. What did you make of Simon Goodwin? Have a listen to Simon Goodwin. I want to get your honest opinion on his summary of Melbourne's performance, where they only kicked 6 goals.
Yeah, I think if you looked at the game, you'd probably say there was certainly some better signs. But we're not in the business of just getting better. We want to start turning these into some more positive results for us as a footy club. So, there were some things that we took a step forward in, which I think everyone would have been evident to see. But as I said, we want to start to translate this into some really positive results for us. So we're certainly not sitting here comfortable at all.
It wasn't a disaster for Melbourne. Geelong is a really, really tough trip, and up until three-quarter time, they were within a couple of kicks. It was a 4-goal last quarter that made the margin look better than it was. I just think they're not dissimilar to Carlton, where their forward line's ineffective. Jacob Van Rooyen needs a bigger target down there. He's probably a second or third banana, Jacob Van Rooyen, but he's been forced to be their key forward, and he's probably just not big enough, or maybe just not good enough to be the number one target. I think he'd be an exceptional second or third, but they need Petrarca down there because they can't kick goals. I'd love Christian Petrarca to play more midfield time, I reckon, but you're sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul if you do that. Bailey Fritsch is so far out of form, it's not funny.
1 goal 8 or something.
He's so far out of form. He's a skill player, but even his field kicking is really bad. So their skill errors really, really hurt them. But Geelong play a really high disposal game. And they stretch opposition's defensive structures, so they make them wide, so you can pick holes. So they pick holes in the opposition's defensive setup. So, but I'm not completely against. Melbourne and what they did. When you have a look at the uncontested ball and the outside ball, it was 165 marks to 82. That's a high.
But that's Geelong's play. When Geelong are allowed to just have mark upon mark upon mark, they patiently they cut you through.
That's what I'm saying. They stretch them out. They stretch out that zone.
Incredible that Melbourne weren't aware of that.
They
find twice as many marks.
Well, yeah, I know, and they probably are aware of it. But so what do you do with Geelong? Do you say, right, we're going man on man?
Yeah, they probably just don't have the skill.
Players don't have the ability to play man on man now.
Is Bailey Smith the recruit of the year?
He's close to it.
Oh, gee, he was good again.
He's just fit again. He's fit again and he's happy again. And he was good to watch. Yeah, when he was good at the Dogs. He was really good at the Dogs. And, Gilly had his troubles and struggled and hurt his knee, but he's very close.
Someone had to lose. Well, in the end, it was the Adelaide Crows who lost by a single point to the Gold Coast Suns, 13-13-91 to 14-6-90. And again, we look at Adelaide got more of the ball, Dawson and Hinge and Saligo, but it was the runners in Rioli and Flanders and and on this occasion where we saw I've been spooking, of course, Matt Rowell, he was restricted to just 17.
They went for him. They went for him instead of Miller and instead of Anderson.
Yeah.
They were terrific, and Adelaide won the clearances plus 11, and which Gold Coast midfield has been vaunted so far, hasn't it? So. Both of these sides are genuine finals contenders. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. And I think Gold Coast, I put them, obviously with the result being a point, neck and neck to be possibly top 4 contenders.
You need every bit of luck in that moment. That last minute and a half, we clearly didn't get things going our way. So I sort of sit here as a coach and say, well, what do I preach to the players? I preach about you being in the moment. Don't blame others. You got to butter up and go again next week. So I'm doing my best to stay in that space. But I'd say there's some really frustrated fans of ours out there, and I feel for them, and I'm a little bit with them. But yeah, we need to be better at the start of the game.
Do you think Ranks marked it?
My version of it is I think if he didn't mark it, he's tackled in a marking contest.
100%. He didn't mark it, but he was tackled by Collins, who just threw him to the ground. It was a free kick every day of the week.
Absolutely. It was 4th time in 37 matches. Mitch Cleary threw this out.
Good stat.
Credit to Mitch. 4th time in 37 matches, the AFL admitted to game-changing errors in the Crows' loss under a goal. And you've got every right to be filthy about it. But the Crows, as I said, both of them, I can't separate both of these teams at the moment on how good both of them are. And the Crows are really creating a dangerous forward line. I know a lot of people considering that they've gone too tall, and you can't do it obviously in wet conditions. But to have Thilthorpe, who's finally standing up, and and delivering on, I guess, the potential that he's had for a couple of years now. Tex is still Tex. He's a beauty. Fogarty's like what Jacob Van Rooyen wants to be. That third sort of target, that taking on the mid-sized defender. They've been absolutely terrific. But the Suns are now playing, and it's an easy one to pick and understand why, but Suns are playing a real Richmond-style pressure game now, especially in their forward 50. That's sensational.
Only played the 3 games. The Suns are unbeaten. They've got a whopping percentage of 172.6. Of course, they've still got one more game to play to even up, because that's the stupid nature of this opening round debacle that they have.
Alrighty. Cyclone.
Yeah, but it's just but they still would have
I
played
agree
one more game.
I'm with you with opening round. It's
just wrong. Everything's wrong.
Stop that up.
All righty. Richmond were gallant against the Lions. They lost by 28 points. They charged home late.
And there is a bit of consideration about how fresh the Lions were in the games that they've played leading up to it, and they ran out of gas in the end. But there is so much to like about the way Richmond are going about their rebuild. These guys actually have a real dip. Sam Lawler's not the rising star. It's possibly Bryce or Ollie Bice, but Sam Lawler is just so clean. He's had 24 and 14 of those contested in his fourth game of football. Fourth game of football, he kicked a couple of goals, had 10 score involvements. So this guy is so polished and ready to play. It's amazing. So I thought Richmond, as I said, were absolutely gallant. They have a real dip. And Brisbane, just their experienced midfield got on top there at the end of the day. It was Richmond's experienced players that had decent games. Hopper and Taranto had 14 clearances between them, but when you throw them against Neil, Dunkley, Rain and McCluggage, they were plus 12 in the clearances. Brisbane sets them up, and then you got a young backline, Richmond backline, trying to defend some key forwards. They couldn't do it, but there's still good signs. I don't think there's a Richmond supporter going to the game and walking out filthy.
Is it scary to suggest that Brisbane are probably playing at 70% and they're unbeaten?
It's something to keep an eye on. It's certainly something to keep an eye on.
They're just going.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and winning games of footy. So, they're polished, and it'll be interesting to see how they pull up as well.
Let's continue a dissection of the round that has just been finished. Of course, 65 points, Sydney over North Melbourne. Alistair Clarkson is getting it from all sides at the moment. People are going hard for this post-game response.
Yeah, we played against a good side. Not that Melbourne weren't, but it just shows you just got to be on your best game. And we felt like we were in the contest, and it was pretty spirited. Just the difference in the two sides was just the polish with the footy, and I'm not sure if the word's bravery, but their willingness to take risks and take the ball forward and use the ball well, and that just ended up cutting us to pieces. They nearly teased us to take the ball wide. We had more possession than the Sydney side, but they won metres gained by a significant margin.
I'm not sure if the jury's still out on if Alistair Clarkson can rebuild a side. We know he's won 4 premierships. He was fantastic with a side that was chock full of talent, but then when things went pear-shaped at Hawthorn, when they needed to find some new talent and had to rebuild it. This was the most disappointing, I think, game of the round for me. There was a lot of hype about North Melbourne, but it's all about Sydney now. Sydney, that's the fastest I've seen Sydney move the footy in years, and I'm undecided whether that's a new Sydney or the defensive ability of North Melbourne, but it shows what can happen because they made... I mean, if I asked you, is Hayward, McLean and Armady, are they elite forwards? They're good forwards. Are they elite forwards?
No. I think Hayward's starting to... I think Hayward's been knocking
very,
on.
very consistent player, but I'm not sure all three are elite. They're good footballers, no doubt about it. None of them are world beaters, but they were made to look elite.
This is with Chad Warner having 10 touches and sitting on the bench for the last quarter and a half.
It's similar to Adelaide in a way that they have contributors across the entire ground. May not be the stars that have to step up like Warner or Heaney, but they have contributors across the entire ground. But it's a huge overuse of the footy for North Melbourne, and it's a strange one for me when you've got a side that's a battling side, and the skills aren't their strong suit. Why you'd want to overpossess the footy? Wouldn't you play a more basic style of footy? So I'm not sure whether he's coaching for the now or that's a coaching thing for the future, and that's probably something to ask Simo about that. How far are you coaching now for your side to benefit from these coaching techniques in a year's time or in 18 months' time?
A lot going in there on at North Melbourne, and Michael Voss, Simon Goodwin, and also Alistair Clarkson are in the gun, and they've got to gather around to try and gather their thoughts and try and get a win moving forward. We go to the break. After the break, we'll dissect the Eagles, the Dockers, and Port Adelaide and St Kilda. Are the Saints the real deal? And is this coaching handover at Port Adelaide got them stuck in the mud somewhere as well?
You know, that's our challenge, to bring our best football for 4 quarters. And we know that if we don't, in this competition, more often than not, you're going to get beat.
17 points St Kilda. Port Adelaide are 1-3, and they play Hawthorn.
They were poor, Port Adelaide, but I think the story is St Kilda. That was their 4th win from 20 games at Adelaide Oval. Can you believe that? I think their 4th, guys.
Third win in a row this year.
And 14-game losing streak against Port they've just broken. So that's a good matchup. They've learnt to move the ball, St Kilda. And there's no doubt they're still defensively based, but they've learnt to move the footy a lot more attacking, and that comes from Wanganeen Miller and Sinclair. Sinclair's the Tom Stewart of St Kilda. Teams need to put time into Sinclair. If they can stop him, then they stop their ball movement because he starts it right up. But they're okay, the Saints.
81 points. It was the Giants and Eagles. We touched heavily on this when we opened up the show, but let's dissect. Let's have a listen to Andrew McWalter on the move not to play Harry Edwards.
Statistically, they're not aerially the biggest threat in the league in their front half, as much as Jesse Hogan is. That hasn't been a theme for them overall for the whole season. And we just wanted to create a bit more offence in our back half as well. We've been stuck a fair bit in the back half. So I think I've spoken about this a few times where we don't know where our team's going to finish up when we hit our straps. So we're going to be exploring some things, and it's a fine balance between settling our players and trying to find our best team as well. So they didn't play
Harry Edwards. They played Sandy Brock.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying that he tried hard. Even Andrew McWalter said there were patches of his game that were really good. It was hard to play on when the ball comes in so easily.
Good on it. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. That was just throwing him to the slaughter, really. But all good. Well done to him for getting his opportunity. But they got to play Harry Edwards. And
where was Harry on the weekend? He didn't play at all.
But if Minnie says he might have been a tourist, but if Minnie says that they're not great aerially, put in a young big man, who can then dominate that space. If the opposition's not great aerially, put in one of yours that can take an intercept mark, help him grow his confidence, get his confidence, because he would have had an opportunity. He would have had 60 opportunities to take marks on the weekend. I just think they've got to play him. He is their. Yeah, he is there.
He needs to punch the ball, mate. He doesn't try and punch the ball. He tries to mark everything.
Well, that's one thing. Okay,
punch the ball.
He's got to, and you know what? I understand that. He's got to find the balance between being a defender and being an intercept marker, because there is a space between those two things. But I just think they've got to play him. And as I said there, if they don't think that the Giants are aerially superior, then why don't you put in a big man in who could take a couple of marks? He might change his entire season.
Yeah, they got it wrong. I think they have to take ownership on that.
They've got Hogan. They've got Cadman, who's coming along okay. They haven't got duds down there.
Rhonda, I think Rhonda's up and about Harley Reid. She sent me a message or a tweet on X last night. Rhonda, you're up and about Harley's performance.
Hey guys, I think it's great, and you always hear it when he does things that like dissent to the umpire or anything. Like it's all over everywhere. And yesterday, I don't even think he argued once. He didn't get into anything, and he topped our disposals. Was it 25 or 26 disposals inside? He actually had an understated but a really good game, and didn't get any. He just focused on the ball, and I was just wondering. Number one, I think it's good to highlight that because it gets a lot of rubbish, when he does focus on the man. And also, number two, why do you think he did that yesterday?
564 metres gained. It's a very good point you make, Rhonda. 564 metres gained, 25 disposals. Didn't lay a tackle, which is a bit of an interesting one. Played 85% of game time. I thought there were some really good psychological changes in his game.
And
I like
credit where credit's due, because you know how hard that is when it's ingrained in you to attack and to defend yourself and to get involved in all of those things. To stop it like that is incredibly mentally tough by Harley Reid. I love his move to half-back, and I think it's given him a chance to, well, it's given the Eagles some run off half-back as well. But then going into the middle of the ground, it's like he's always said, I don't want to play there anymore. Put me in the middle where I do my best. But see what he's done now? What if he led the possessions?
He did.
By focusing on getting the footy. Hopefully that's a moment where he's sitting on the plane going, horrible day, we lost by 81. But gee whiz, I've got my hands on the footy again because that's all I was thinking about. So great effort for him.
Yeah, very
to turn
good.
things around. But as I said earlier on, Goss, the margin didn't faze me that much. GWS are a very good side and probably premiership favoured if they're not back, if Hawthorn fans haven't backed in Hawthorn. But they are very, very good side. But it was just the manner in how that margin was done and just the wave. And I said earlier on too that the Orange Tsunami will be getting a lot of attention. But it was too easy for them. It was so many times it looked like training session stuff. And they've got to find some mongrel in their defensive running West Coast or this is going to happen again and again and again.
Nick says Harry Edwards isn't up to the level. He was omitted. What Walter probably doesn't want to say publicly, he says Harry Edwards has been dropped due to poor form. Well, but players get dropped with poor form all the time.
What?
The Monday morning alarm has gone off for umpire Justin Power. Now, Justin's a West Aussie. Now, there were three...
Does he live here?
No. He lives in Melbourne.
Oh, lucky.
But there were three West Australian umpires there yesterday.
Oh, Mr. O'Gorman didn't have a great day either.
He wasn't an umpire.
O'Gorman, number 7?
No, that was Jeff Dalglish.
Oh, well done, Pete.
Oh, boy.
Put him wrong name all day then. Well, he did have a great
Rob
day.
O'Gorman's the famous umpire who didn't give me the Venus Williams, the towel at the Hopman Cup.
Yeah, good he insert that, isn't it? Anyway, number 7 was
Jeff Dalglish, West
bad,
Australian,
bad.
Daniel Johansson, West Australian, and Justin Power, West Australian. But I felt sorry for Justin. Justin's a damn fine umpire, and he really has come on a long way. Did a lot of waffle games, and then was based in WA, and then pretty sure he's now based in Victoria. He just couldn't get out of it. He was stuck, and then they moved ends. Daniel Johansson came in to take him out, and the ball went down to the next, right in front of him in his zone, and he had to give another controversial decision. He had 10 minutes. Well, he had probably longer than that, but he had 10 minutes where the crowd was going absolutely feral. I've never heard it.
They were the reason the crowd got so up and about, didn't they? And that's I was half laughing about it because I always felt Fremantle were in control, but that's an alarming thing if that's our standard. Because I know I say it all the time. It is the hardest game in the world to umpire.
But did they get much wrong? Did they get much wrong? I know the free kick count was lopsided, but did they get much wrong?
I'm really struggling with a lot of the insufficient intent. That's killing me. It seems to me that the 15-metre rule is only enforced in the back half and not the forward half of games. And I think all the iffy ones, and there's a lot of 50-50 calls in a game of footy, but I think all of those went to the Dogs yesterday.
0487736736 or give us a call, Eagles fans, if you're. We'll get on to you in a moment. 13 12 55. Mike, morning boys. Bolton is comfortable in that forward line. Gee, got up. And Murphy Reid was probably the pickup of the year. What a player. Yes, he's very, very good. 948 was at the game at Engie. Morning, guys. Was at the game live. The kids had a go, but so disappointing to see senior players let us down again. Drop TK ? Thoughts, Tim Kelly?
My whole thing is based on the fact that they can't get any outside ball or clean outside uncontested footy, and their defensive work when they don't have the ball is just poor. It's left. Liam Baker, I know we're big fans of Baker. He's busting his backside out there, and Jack Graham is working his backside off. There's just not enough mindset or intent to defend. And if you're not going to do that, then the Orange Tsunami, which everyone was talking about yesterday, I think it was overhyped yesterday because it was just so easy for them because the Eagles players won't run backwards. When the ball's turned over, we'll just watch and we'll see when we get it back, generally at a centre bounce.
Thought we saw some upside with Harley. I think he was his best game for
I
the
like
year.
him. I like him across halfback.
And then when he went into the middle as well. So halfback middle, he had a good mix there. I just thought there was a bit of zip about what he did. I think the explosiveness still not exactly at its optimum, but
Yeah.
I do think he was good. I also think he kept his calm.
Absolutely.
And he went to his players and picked them up off the ground after a great tackle. I thought he was more engaged yesterday.
He looked more invested than he has all year, didn't he? But I really liked the move across halfback. I think it gives him a little bit of freedom. And then when he went into the middle, he had a little bit of confidence or a little bit of zest about him. And so I think it's been good coaching so far. But well done too to Harley Reid. If his mindset is now to just stay away from the energy wasting garbage, then that's a big tick for him.
Lots of texts coming in, 0487 736 736. So the winners over the weekend, Collingwood beat Carlton, Geelong were too good for Melbourne, Gold Coast and Adelaide, we'll talk more on that later, 1 point, bit of drama there. Brisbane always in control, but Richmond still knocked up 90 points against them. Sydney smashed North Melbourne, questions being asked. GWS 81-point winners, the big winners of the weekend over West Coast. St Kilda continue. Ross Lyon might have been right. And Port Adelaide, that coaching is still commanding plenty of attention, that coaching handover, and Fremantle were gutsy. I do think it was one of, in a long time, one of the gutsiest wins that Fremantle have produced.
No doubt. Absolutely. It's the first point I've made in my notes, which I have today. I think obviously with interchanges down, or not to forget the numbers, but their ability to make any rotations in that last quarter, they dug in. And I've got to say, the gut running from Andrew Brayshaw is as good as you'll see. And a lot of that stuff goes unnoticed. But Freo fans, they see it. But just watch him. His gut running was extraordinary. And he had to, because, as I said, when a lot of rotation, not a lot they could do. Jackson gone, O'Driscoll gone, they'd made their sub. And I think it's while again, it's not exactly the footy they want to play all game for 4 quarters. They did everything that they had to do. And I reckon it's one of those, it's bordering on a springboard sort of win. It's something that they can actually look at and go, hey, in the past we've lost those games. So we've been under immense pressure, and they held on. They did it really well. I think it's something that they can really build from now on. But one thing I will guarantee you is it'll be the lightest week on the track that they've seen for a long time. That was exhausting.
We'll chat with Josh Tracy before 7 o'clock. We spoke to him post-game. We look forward to that chat as well. Hayes, before the game, he said he was excited about seeing Sam Darcy in the flesh produce, the big tall boy. He kicked 5. He faded late, mind you, the ball, well, it was down there a lot, but they almost triple-teamed him in the end. He was so dominant. I heard Kane and Kingy sort of talking in regards to, is he possibly the best player in the competition? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think what I said yesterday on the air is what you said in here pre-show. I think he's definitely the best big man in the competition. And I've been on Sam Darcy for over a year now. I think
So a lot of players that you all of a sudden you're on. I mean, you were Josh Tracy, you were on.
Well, have I not been on
Sam
him
Darcy,
for 18
you were
months? Sam Darcy, correct.
Yeah, I don't know about 18 months. Yeah, but I know you're in the Tracy camp. I've got no issues with that.
Sam Darcy last year, absolutely.
You were very hard.
I think I had him for Rising Star last year.
Did you? How'd you go?
You just missed out.
Okay, so you're wrong.
Again, yeah. Well, you get those wrong all the time.
I don't think he's the best player in the competition. I think he's.
Yet.
He's tracking in the right direction, but he's probably not in the best 10, to be honest. Not right.
Oh, he's almost in the top 10 most important.
Yeah, there's a difference, but I get that. I'm excited about what he can do. It's going to be scary, and he will be the first $2 million player. Size matters.
Said that yesterday. He made one-on-one. I don't think there's someone that can beat him. Like he made, and I really liked Alex Pearce's game yesterday. But one-on-one
it was a bit down early,
slow, but you know what? He started slow, but that whole back six in that first quarter were unbelievably staunch. They had the Dogs had it in their forward 50 for so long, when it went in there, it stayed there.
Luke Ryan took his angry pills yesterday. When he tackled blokes, he tackled them hard. He was fierce.
He was fantastic yesterday. But Alex Pearce too. The things during the game, he knew that Sam Darcy one-on-one was going to beat Brennan Cox, he was going to beat Draper. He was backing into packs all day yesterday, Alex Pearce, just to be a body there and create a contest. I thought he just led beautifully. But that, like I said, that back six, they were under siege. And it was in there for a long period of time. And in that first quarter, when it would go down to Freo's forward line, it was bounced out so quickly and then back down again. So they didn't get much of a break at all, the back or the defensive side of Fremantle's game. I thought, as you said, we go back to the word gutsy. It really, really was. And it started in that first quarter.